Hi everyone, and welcome back to part number 2 of this tutorial, Schema Coaching for Parents. So in this tutorial we will have a look on the elements of Schema Coaching and focus a lot on the strengths and positive attributes, so the achievements of the parents. And for that reason I would like to show you the exercise of treasure bag. So we are dealing with positive schemas, and that will be the end of this tutorial. So what have we done in part number 1? In part number 1 we first defined what is schema coaching at all dealing with, and we said we are concerned now with the schemas, with the modes, and with the needs of the parents. So this time we are looking to support the parents and to understand them better. And for that reason we also talked about the therapist, and the therapist also have to look for himself and needs to be sure where his own emotional buttons are, that he's not involved emotionally in the process of what belongs to the family and the parents. So it's good for parents, it's good for parents as well, but for therapists in this case to look on their own schemas, for example in a formal way with a questionnaire, or what you can do or what you did is to do it in an exercise where you considered your own emotional responses to difficult situations where you maybe were emotionally over-responding, and the question was, how is it connected to my childhood experience? So I hope you have been successful in this way, and now I would like to draw your attention to the list of schema coaching. So what exactly we want to do with the parents. So we have here a list. I just go through and then I focus on the positive things. First of all, we try to clarify what is the goal of the counseling, of the referral. So what do they want? I'll come back to that. Then we investigate the parental resources. Before we come to the problems, we focus on the resources. And we explore, in the third step, on the parental basic needs. Also as a couple, but also as a woman or man, and look, what do you need to feel well in your family? After that, we try to explain what our ideas of schemas and modes are based on. So it's a kind of education, and then we try to find a good model, a good explanation model for the problems that occur at home. When we have done that, we try to help them to rectify or to correct some patterns, some modes, or to help them to overcome difficult modes, and guide them also to deal with the difficult modes of their children. So in the end, we look again for the positive activities. So what is not mentioned in point number 2, we try to offer them, or we stimulate them to do this and that, and actually in the end we look for further intervention. What does the parents need for further development? Okay, so let's take a closer look on point number 1, goal clarification. So it is actually, it comes from the systemic therapy, and we notice when we start too early and when we have not understood what is actually the background of the referral of the child, or when parents come, we might get into trouble. So the question would be, for example, who referred the family actually? And what was or is the expectation of the referring person or institution? For example, is the referring person a member of the problem system, e.g. the teacher? So who is actually the one who defines the goal? And is this goal actually functional, or is it just part of the schema of dysfunctional mode? So who wishes a change concerning the problem, and who is supposed to change what? Who's more affected by the problem? Who less? And who would most likely deny that a problem exists, or who responds most to the problem's behavior? So what you find here are typical questions from the systemic therapy where we try to understand the background, that we understand how does it come, that we come together now and talk about the child or the child's behavior. Usually it has a reason, of course it has one, but we are not always able to find that out, but we can try, at least we can try to understand what exactly is the background. And for example, what would change in the relationship if the problem suddenly disappeared? What would you miss if the problem was gone? So we try about the function of the symptom, or so to speak, the dysfunctional mode, in order, before we change anything, we want to understand what we are doing. And if any kind of problematic behavior has an important function, we are not inclined to change that, but we find another way to find a good alternative for the function. So that is quite important to keep that in mind, that we might be well advised to ask once again, what exactly is the family asking me for, and does it make sense for the whole family? Okay, these are very general questions, and I, honestly speaking, do not ask all questions to every family, but when I have the feeling that there is something covered or something strange, I really take the time and try to answer these questions, and often I get much deeper understanding of what happened before, and under which clouds actually the family is presenting their children or themselves. The next step is investigation of parental resources. So it's very, very important. This is actually the most important part, which is often skipped because of whatever the parents are under pressure and they want solutions and they have really painful problems and so on. But the investigation of parental resources is so important because we are really looking for something what the family and the parents has achieved already. So for their positive or functional coping modes. So it is for very sure we can assume that the parents are not so helpless in all aspects of life. So what we want to find out, where are your resources, what are your strategies? So what works well in your family, how could you manage to do that? And which activities do you manage without any problems? And what you're proud of, what you're thinking about your family? Which of your own positive qualities does your family benefit from most? So these are all questions what helps us to build an open and trustful relationship. And that is very important, that the parent has a feeling this therapist or coach is also on my side. He's also appreciating what I have already achieved or what I have done for my child. And this needs definitely time and appreciation. And we ask them, what do you do, or how do you relax, or to re-energize, what gives you strength, and so on. And which ways do you prefer your family compared to others, and why you do that. So these are all questions, so usually it takes at least one session that we really, really point to these positive things. And sometimes parents are asking, why shall I talk about my positive side? So I'm coming here because I have problems. And I guess you are an expert in solving my problems, so I really ask you to spend the time here and helping me to find good solutions for my problems and not to talk about it. You are right. That is right what parents say. But the argument, the point is here that we do not assume that we have the solution in ourselves and we are just as kind and let them know what is right or wrong. Our assumption is that the solution is in the parent. So he has tackled many problems without our help. And he is actually filled with good ideas. And our job is it to point out what have you done, what are your achievements, and how did you cope with these problems before. So it's not only what you are good in, but the question is how did you manage. So what are your strategies? What is the functional ways, what are the functional ways you already have learned? And from that on, we want to look for your way to find a solution for your child. That's important. So we try to help them understand that we are not the rescuer, that we are not the hero, that we don't have any receipt for this problematic behavior. We're just helping them to find together a good way. And of course we make proposals, but we do not assume that we have the wisdom and you, sorry, you don't have the wisdom and I'm so kind to let you be part of my wisdom. No. Please, dear parents, you have so much knowledge, and please, let's pay attention to these wonderful things you have achieved. And because you have so many functional strategies, I do not want to tell you what to do. We can consider together what kind of positive strategy might be helpful here, or what kind of combination. So that's why we are focusing so much on resources, and it takes a little bit effort to convince the parents that it's worthwhile to talk about that, to do that. Also, when they pay money for every session, it is really worthwhile, and it's part of the coaching. It's not just to have a good time. It is part of gathering what is in you already and how can we start from there. Okay, so maybe you remember this sketch here where we have pointed out that the needs, the core needs, are very crucial, and when the core needs are not met, then it is often the case that we build up emotional buttons or sore spots or wounds which are activated when a typical situation is coming and hurting us or frustrating or threatening us, and then the emotions and body sensation, memory and cognition pops up and our schema is activated. And we had this idea that it is like looking through glasses, and we perceive the moment of the situation outside through our glasses. And that is because we are triggered. Our schemas are popped up because our needs were not met, at least not balanced met. Now we come from the other side. What happened actually when the needs are met? So we have good chances to build up positive buttons. So positive schemas. So these are buttons which trigger us to do wonderful things, and we come in a kind of trance, and we do and know a lot of things, and it's wonderful when a positive button is pushed. So these are the topic here. Remember, the core needs were, from on one hand, was existential, but also the psychological, emotional needs. And here we have attachment and autonomy, we have self-esteem and fun and pleasure, and the overarching need for structure and limit setting and identity. When these needs are met, then we are really lucky, and I have put this slide in this presentation just to remember you that we are actually inviting the parents to talk about their own needs. And you see on the right hand a kind of worksheet where you can explain parents what does every human being need. So maybe an invitation to think about their own needs as a mother or father. However, when these needs are met, then we build up positive buttons, positive schemas, and this is the point here in the next exercise. In the next exercise, we talk about positive schemas. And the positive schemas are the opposite of the maladaptive or negative schemas. So an example, when a person has no emotional deprivation schema, so then we would say he was lucky, or he had some experience that gave him the feeling of being accepted. So we are in a very practical way stating or assuming that when a negative or maladaptive schema is not prevalent, the opposite is prevalent. So what we do then is actually we take a typical expression of a positive schema. For example here, let's say closeness and stability, which is the opposite of abandonment and instability. When a person has this positive schema, closeness and stability, he would say about himself, I can rely on my fellow man, and when it matters, others are there for me. So I'm not alone. Of course, not everyone, not every person, but I know people. I have had this experience that I can rely on others. In this meaning, we have, Peter Graf and I, we have found, or we have defined typical 18 expressions of positive schemas, which you find here on this list. And the next slide shows the other 9 schemas with positive schemas with these typical expressions. And you also have them here on this worksheet, which you need, and I will give you, where you have all these 18 positive thoughts or attitudes gathered on one worksheet. And now I explain you the exercise. It's called treasure bag exercise. So, first of all, we ask our client to read all these 18 statements and try to pick up what fits best to him. So what is the most fitting expression or attitude or cognition or what he can find among these 18 statements. When he has done that, let's say he would say, I can trust on myself, or I am me, or whatever. He has a positive expression. Then the question is, who or what helped you to have this attitude? So, what exactly happened in the past? And please give me an example that comes into your mind. Again, we can make an effect bridge, but in a positive way. So we ask him if he agrees to close his eyes and to travel back in time into a situation where he has had a situation or an experience and somebody helped him to build up this expression or this statement. So, for example, it can be a typical situation where this child or teenager was in trouble and the parents were going to punish this child, and for example the grandma helped the teenager or child in this moment, and that's why he would say, I can rely on others, so I'm not alone, something like that. Then he would travel back in his mind, so in an imaginary exercise he would travel back and travel into a situation where he experienced some support by others. So this is here point number 2. So we travel back, and please bring me in, explain me what exactly happened here and what did the person say or no, or do, and how did you respond and what happened there. So try to explain it like a movie. And stay in this situation for some time, as long as you like, and maybe if you want, you may thank this person for what he or she has done to you. And maybe you want to give him a hug, or maybe you just say thank you, or just try to get in contact with her. Again, it's just an imagery. And how does it feel right now when you say thank you to this person, or when you're in contact with it? And how do you feel in your body? And maybe it is also possible that the therapist goes into the situation and also thanks this person. For example, dear grandma, I know your grandson or granddaughter will talk about this event many, many years later. And I thank you too for what you have done for her. And I know maybe you don't know, but you have done a really fantastic job right now. I thank you so much because you helped your daughter, your granddaughter, or grandson so much. Thank you so much. Again, how does it feel? So I'm asking the client who's as a child or teenager in this situation, how does it feel? Is it okay this way? However, when the job is done, we bid farewell and we're coming back into the reality and the here and now. And I ask the client to choose a symbol for that experience. So let's find a word or any stone or anything like that. And let's say I have prepared that here. So this is, for example, a stone. Let's assume the client would have chosen this stone, and the stone represents as a transitional object this experience. I would say, Grandma would say, you are okay and I will help you. So this is my stone, my positive schema. Someone will help me. I know it. And this is my real experience. So it's nothing, it's no invention. It really happened to me. And then in the end, I would offer a bag, something like that, and we put in the symbol into the bag. And that would be actually the point where we gather positive symbols, positive experiences. And in difficult moment, we would invite the parent to get in contact with his treasure bag, which might be in everywhere. Actually, it's not a big deal, so it might be there. And the parent in a difficult situation could say, now I do it like my grandma did in the past. And now I'm let pop up this positive schema. So this is a treasure bag, and I hope it was clear how to do that. And again, I would like to invite you to do an exercise like that. So what you need is a bag, and you need some stones or symbols and a client or a colleague with which you can do this treasure bag exercise. A very nice exercise. I really recommend to do that. And what we usually do with clients is to ask them to do that every week or every session a little bit, so that the treasure bag is getting more full. So that there's not only one stone, but there are maybe 4, 5, 6, according to the remaining positive statements, what he can agree to. So, when we do that, we do not always talk about problems in our therapy sessions, but we also spend some time to talk about the highlights in my life, so the nice moments, and the central issue or the central goal here is actually to show them how good it feels to be connected. That is actually the story. So that they dare to risk, so to speak, that they dare to get in connection again, for example, to the therapist or to someone else, and to be so courage, to have this courage to dare relationship with themselves, with a child, with a partner, and with significant others. So this exercise is supposed to make them sensitive for how wonderful it is to be connected. Okay, so this exercise we will need later, and the positive schemas will be part of the House of Generation, which I explain in another tutorial. And I hope you got some inspiration and you feel encouraged to give it a try by yourself. Thank you very much. We talked in part 1 and part 2 of Schema Coaching for Parents about the definition, indication, and also about the therapist schemas. In the second part, I tried to focus you on the positives and the resources and the positive schemas of the parents, and hope you enjoyed it and feel encouraged to give it a try by yourself, Thank you, and bye-bye.